Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast. I'm Craig Phillips. Another solo show today. I'm going to do my wide receiver ranks for the week and the tight end rankings. Jeff will be back next week as we'll do our normal slate of episodes. Start again next week. We'll be able to do our normal ranking shows where we go back and forth on them. So today, like I did yesterday with the quarterbacks and running backs, I'm going to be going through my rankings and kind of basing them, letting you know where the expert consensus has them as well for the current week, just to give you an idea where I might stand versus, what the consensus is this week. Maybe there's some guys I like a little bit more, than others. Maybe there's some guys that I'm down on, but we'll go through all of that. Make sure you guys go check us out on Twitter at the FF Prophet or on Instagram at Fantasy Football Prophet. Check out the website, fantasyfootballprophet.com. On the website, we'll have all the rankings for the week, so I'm not going to go, line by line through every single player, but on the website, I have, looking at my wide receivers right now, I have 85 receivers ranked, so if you really, especially if you're in deeper leagues, you want to see some of the ranks, you can check them out there, be able to go through all of them for you. But I think it's time. Let's just get right into it. Start off. I'm going to name off my top 5 here right away for wide receivers. And my top 4 are actually the same exact as consensus this week. Didn't plan it that way. That's just how I ranked them. I guess that's how the majority of the people have seen them too. It goes Antonio Brown, AJ Green, Julio Jones, Mike Evans, and then my 5th is Dez Bryant, who is the 6th overall consensus-wise. So, it's pretty clear-cut why Antonio Brown's number 1. He's number 1 every week for me. He's by far is the most catches in the league this year. He just consistently puts up the best numbers. He has the most catches. The touchdowns aren't there as much. Only 3 touchdowns on the year. But when you are, leading the league in catches and yards, you're going to be up there. In PPR, he's easily number 1. But yeah, you can't go wrong with Antonio Brown. He's number 1 again. AJ Green's who has a good matchup this week with the Colts. And I love the talent of AJ Green. Everyone does. That's no surprise. Last week was a bit of a disappointment. 3 for 41 coming off the bye. Before the bye, he had 3 great games in a row. So it was disappointing to see that game. But the Colts aren't a tough matchup. I expect Indy to bounce back. I guess the only thing I could see hurting them this week is if the Bengals do get off to a fast start. And they just run the ball. It's possible they just decide we don't need to do much here. We can just run it. And this could be the mix and breakout game, possibly. That's the only way I can see AJ Green not having a big week. But I'm expecting good things from AJ this week. My number 3, Julio Jones. Finally got that touchdown last week in the red zone. Going against the Jets, it's a good matchup for him. Julio, he's been okay. His numbers aren't, amazing. But 9 for 99 last week with the touchdowns. First touchdown of the year. He's still Julio. He's still a very good player. The Jets are a relatively easier matchup, so he's going to be my number 3. And number 4, Mike Evans, going against the Panthers. Evans, he's been I wouldn't say very touchdown dependent. If you look at Evans and Julio's numbers, they're pretty much identical. Both have 34 catches. Julio's 466 yards on the year. Evans 459, so they're only 7 apart on yards. Evans has, though, 3 more touchdowns than Julio. And that's where Evans, that's where he shines, getting touchdowns, 4 touchdowns in 6 games. He hasn't hit 100 yards yet in a game. I'm hoping to see that, but at least he's gotten 7 catches again there. He gets plenty of targets. You're going to play Mike Evans, obviously, every week. He's a top 10 option every week. He hasn't been maybe what you would have hoped for, not quite, elite numbers, but they're very good numbers. And he gets targets every game. He's at least 8 targets in every game this year. So he's going to be there every week. And then round out my top 5 was Dez Bryant. Dez, this is more, not the catches aren't big numbers this year. It's more of he's getting touchdowns, 4 touchdowns this year in 6 games. The yards, other than he has 1 game, the Rams game at 98 yards. Other than that, he hasn't been above 63. So the yardage isn't where it's coming. He is, though, a red zone. That's the only reason Dez stays up here. If it wasn't for the touchdowns, obviously, wouldn't be even close to being considered. But Dez is getting looked at in the end zone, so I'm going to keep him there. The rest of my top 10 goes Doug Baldwin, Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Cooks, and Michael Crabtree. Cooks lands in the top 10 again. I've made it clear on the show, I'm not the biggest Brandon Cooks fan out there. He's an up and down type guy. But, the last 3 weeks have been decently consistent. The yardage was there for 2 of them, 65 then last week in the touchdown. So, you're going to get some good weeks. You're going to get some down weeks, but you're playing Brandon Cooks. And with all the teams on bye and the options just aren't quite there, Brandon Cooks is a top 10 play for almost every week here. Some of the other, Michael Thomas should have a good matchup with Chicago. Again, it seems to be a lot of the story with these wide receivers that haven't quite performed like we would have hoped. But it was good to see a 7 for 82 from Thomas. He's had 80 yards in 4 of 6 games. He's pretty solid there. It's just he hasn't been getting big 100 plus yard games, but he's a good player. He's had good numbers. You're sticking him in your lineup every week and shouldn't be a problem. DeAndre Hopkins is going to make it up there again. Yeah, it is a tougher matchup on the road at Seattle, but even this, I kind of see this, if Seattle even gets up, Deshaun Watson's going to find a way to just bomb the ball deep at some point, and they're going to get hopefully something going there for Houston. Not necessarily going to say it's going to be a huge game, but at the very least, there could be garbage time touchdowns. But with the way Watson was playing, and it's hard to discount that Hopkins could have a pretty solid game, and he's just an extremely talented wide receiver. He's on the year 37 catches, 382 yards, but 6 touchdowns is the big thing there. 6 touchdowns in his 6 games. Obviously, 3 of them came in 1 game, but still, he's gotten touchdowns in 4 of the 6 games. It's been, a great option there. Some other players here. Chris Hogan's still number 12 for me. He needs expert-wise. He is number 12 as well. The touchdowns were coming early on in the year. He's at 5 for the year. He hasn't had one now in the last 2 games. But he did have a 4 for 71. That's pretty much what he does, what he did against Atlanta. Just didn't have the touchdown to add to it. I don't see him going too many more games without a touchdown here. And the Chargers defense isn't something that you're really scared about. I have Tyreek Hill at 13. The experts put him at 18. It's going against Denver. I know that's, why he's down. But Denver's been very good. But it's Tyreek Hill. I think they're going to find a way to get him open, to get him the ball in space, do something. Tyreek Hill is a player it's tough to defend, and if he can he's just so quick. If he can beat somebody deep on just sprinting down the field, he's going to do it. And if Smith can find him, it's going to be one play is all he needs to make his outing good. So I'm going to rank him a little bit higher than the rest. Amari Cooper finds himself at number 14 after his huge week last week. If I see one more from him like that, obviously if I see one more of that kind of game, he's going to be way up the ranks. If we see a solid game from Amari Cooper, he's going to find himself back up in the top 10. Experts put him at 13 for the week, so right in line there. Not too much of a difference for Amari Cooper. I got Adam Thielen at 17. I did put Stephon Diggs in the ranks at 20. It looks like he is going to be playing as of now. It seems to be trending that way. But even if we know for sure he's going to be playing, it's a great matchup with Cleveland. I'm probably still going to stick him at 20. I would put him higher, obviously, but is he going to get a full workload coming back? Are they going to ease him back from the injury? Don't quite know. I don't like to take the risk, so I'm going to put him at 20. You're probably still playing him at a wide receiver 2 or a flex, but can't rank him too high until you see if he's healthy and how he's playing there. Jarvis Landry's 21. He's had some good games going on here. PPR, he's going to move up the ranks. I do have him 2 spots lower than experts. Not that I don't like Jarvis. If you look at the numbers, they are, been pretty impressive lately. And he's up there. Catches, he's third, and there's tied for second in the league again, like he always is. But the last 3 weeks, he's gotten touchdowns, and that's been the difference for Jarvis Landry. He's never done that in his career. I don't think he's ever scored 3 touchdowns in 3 consecutive games. Seeing that from him is a nice change. If he could add touchdowns to all the catches he gets, he becomes a great option here. He's a wide receiver 2 option yet for this week. I do like Landry. Maybe I need to see something more to move him up a little bit higher, but I can see it trending that way. So Landry's a good one there. Nelson Aguilar finds his way into my top 25 for the first time. Going against San Francisco, it's a good matchup, and he's been pleasant surprise there this year, even with Alshon there. Aguilar's put up very similar numbers, only has 2 less catches than Alshon. He has 8 more yards than Alshon, and he has 3 more touchdowns. That's the big key here. 5 touchdowns for Aguilar in his 7 games. He scored touchdowns in the last 3 games now. If he continues to score touchdowns, you can't go wrong with him. Yeah, he's only getting 4 catches basically a game, but touchdowns are there, and he's you didn't spend anything on him to get him. So a lot of people are using him. If you're playing a league that has 3 receivers or your flex, you can go worse than him. Will Fuller finds himself at number 28. We talked about going against Seattle, but Will Fuller's been finding a way to get touchdowns. I'm curious how this is going to go against a matchup like Seattle, if he's going to be able to continue to do that and get these touches. Josh Doxson is up in the ranks for the first time here, 33rd for me this week. Actually one below the experts, but he is definitely put himself into that lineup now. Terrell Pryor's not much of a factor at this point. So it is good, Josh Doxson's been a guy I've liked for a while. I've talked about him in the preseason. Just waiting for his opportunity, see if he could live up to his talent, if he could stay healthy. Maybe this is the time he's finally going to do that. That would definitely be nice to see. I'm looking forward to that from him. I put Juju Smith-Schuster 38. That's the news of Martavis Bryant's not going to be active for the game this weekend against the Lions. And, Bryant. Talk about Bryant. He's so much talent, and he just can't put it together. It's disappointment there. Everyone kind of I thought he was going to have a good year this year. I put him in my top 25 ranks going to the preseason. It's not happening for him right now. But Juju Smith-Schuster, he is in concussion protocol, so we'll have to watch that. But if he plays, he could be, if you're, in a spot where you need a receiver, especially with the bye weeks, he could be a good option this week as a, wide receiver 3 type player. That if you need the player, I could see a good week coming from him. As we get down lower, there's just not a lot of guys here that maybe Kenny Golladay should move up a little bit in the ranks because of no Golden Tate there. He's going to be the number 2 receiver if he's back out there. So that's something to watch. I don't want to recommend playing him. He seemed to be more of a red zone threat, and I'd like to see more from him. But yeah, without Tate, he steps up a little bit. Move over to the tight ends here to wrap up this abbreviated show. Without Jeff here to bounce these off, it's going to be a little bit quicker. I put Gronkowski as my number 1 tight end again. You can't go wrong with Gronk there. He's going to be number 1 every week. Yeah, he's going to have a down week here or there, but the potential he has to have big weeks is unlike pretty much anybody else in the league except maybe Kelsey. But Gronk's number 1 again. Yes, he's not been putting up. It's not been massive numbers. He's not blowing away everyone else, but it's still Gronk. He's going to be number 1. I put Zach Ertz number 2 this week. It's usually Kelsey here and then Ertz 3, but I'm going to go Ertz 2 and Kelsey 3 this week. Obviously, Kelsey's going against Denver. It is a very tough matchup. Ertz has San Francisco. Not as tough there. So I do really like Ertz this week, and this was a guy I've been big on coming into the season. And the way the tight end position is ranked, Ertz is just one of the most consistent options. He has the most catches so far this season at a tight end position with 39. He leads the tight end position in yards with 494. And then touchdowns, he has 5, which leads the tight end position. So Ertz is the top receiver. He's the most, is it most catches, most yards, most touchdowns. He's right now tops at tight end in every category and overall. So you can't go wrong with Zach Ertz. He's been terrific. And these top 3, though, you're hoping you have one of these top 3. They've been great. I did go number 4 here is Jordan Reed, 3 spots higher than consensus. So yes, maybe I'm taking into account too much the touchdowns he had last game. But Jordan Reed is an extremely talented player. And if he's becoming healthier, you can see more games like that. I don't quite know if he is yet. I guess I'm buying into it maybe too soon. But I don't like the tight end position. I don't like a lot of these players. Right now, I don't like the potential. So I'm going to buy into Jordan Reed a little bit. But yeah, he could go down with an injury at any time. It's very likely with the way he's done that in the past. Number 5 is Jimmy Graham. He's getting looks. That's, he dropped a touchdown look. He dropped a deep pass from Wilson, but he's getting looks in the red zone. He's getting the opportunities. He did get a touchdown last week. It's more of the opportunities there. He just needs to catch those balls. That's pretty much it. He's been a great player in the past. He's not quite been the same since the injury, but he's still very solid. But he's a good option to keep playing him. Number 6, I put Hunter Henry. Going against New England. He's actually consensus-wise number 4 this week. And it's been great to see the increased workload for Henry these last few weeks. After he started the year with nothing against Denver, then he had the good week against Miami, and then nothing against Kansas City. He just didn't know what to expect. And he's gotten 2 touchdowns then in week 4 and 5, and then these last 2 weeks hasn't got the touchdowns, but he has 5 catches for 90 and 4 for 73, which was against Denver. So it was very solid. Very nice to see that. And I expect another good game for Hunter Henry. He's definitely into the offense now. He's getting looks, and he's going to be a great option at tight end for you. Number 7's Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Again, he's getting touchdown looks. He's getting red zone looks, and that's all you can ask for. 3 straight games with a touchdown. Yes, the overall numbers aren't impressive. 3 for 21, 8 for 46, 6 for 29. He has no 46 yards as his tops this year, but if you're getting looks in the red zone, you make yourself an option as a tight end because they're just not there. Kyle Rudolph's 8th. He's going against Cleveland, so that's why he's up there. He's been a disappointment to me. I expected a little bit more from Rudolph. Yes, the quarterback situation hasn't helped. But, I mean, his numbers, they're not great. But if he just added some touchdowns, they'd be a lot better. But it's a good matchup, so you're going to keep him there. Cameron Brate's 9th for me this week. This is a very consistent option. Yes, I know O.J. Howard had the big week last week, but Brate still is the better option over Howard, the more consistent option. I got Jason Witten next, Jared Cook, Zach Miller, Jack Doyle. It gets pretty ugly after that. Tyler Kroft at 14, George Kittle 15. I really would like to recommend Austin Hooper going against the Jets, but I just have a hard time with it because he's just not getting... I think he's a talented player, but with only 18 catches on the season, only 1 touchdown on the season, it's hard to recommend him at any time. Only 1 catch for 6 yards, which against New England, which I thought could have been a big week. So it's kind of disappointing after that. I did put O.J. Howard 17th just because their options aren't great, and we know O.J. Howard is an extremely talented player. I don't think it's all going to come together this year, but you saw the flashes of it last week and how good he can be. So if you're in a deeper league, you have guys on buys, maybe throw him in. Maybe you get another big play out of him. But all right, I think that's it pretty much for wide receivers and tight ends. A lot quicker there. I don't differ a lot for some reason on these wide receiver and tight ends, and maybe more consensus-wise. Not as I seem to differ a lot more on quarterbacks and running backs, but a lot of buys this week. So once you get past the first 10, at like 10, 15 at wide receiver, it gets ugly quick. And hopefully you have some of these top options and be able to, make do going through the bye weeks here. So that'll be it for today's show. Be back tomorrow night. Episode probably comes out very, very early Friday morning do the recap here, going over the Baltimore-Miami game. Hopefully we see something going on in this game. I'm not, excited about some of the way the offense has been playing. Baltimore's been kind of just boring to watch, you could say. Miami has the potential here. We'll see what Matt Moore can do. See if Landry keeps it going. Kenny Stills, is that just a 1-week thing? Can he play another good game there? Hopefully we see Parker out there. Not really sure on the status yet of him. And a J.J., maybe we can get a little bounce back from him if he keeps getting 20 carries. Be nice to see the yardage more around 100. Maybe he gets himself into the end zone here. That'd be nice to see as well. But I'll be back for that. I'll talk to you guys then.